Dunc and Holder on a Monday, December 4th. Jeff, I would never have imagined that the Saints would have 9 wins in December, basically meaning, and it's funny, our buddy Jim Rapier walked in here right when I got here, and even his daughter is doing the Larry loses his hair countdown. She's wondering, like, if the Saints win and beat the Falcons on Thursday, that I'm going to shave my head in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Like, it's done. Like, we're bringing the Clippers with me. It's over.
Yeah, you're down to one game, right? I mean, basically.
Basically, yes.
You got one game left.
The
follicles.
The most inexplicable bet I ever thought I would lose. I'm definitely gonna lose, as the Saints are on a roll, 9-3. They beat the Panthers 31-21. Second time this year they've rebounded from a loss to really hand Carolina a thorough beating. And even though 10 points might not sound like a thorough beating, Jeff, you wrote it. It was a thorough beating, and what a way for the Saints to basically kind of put to bed, maybe they're going to falter after a loss in Los Angeles. No, that's more the exception to the rule, where the Saints are just a very good football team.
Yeah, you know, I thought about this, Larry, driving in today. That win was accomplished yesterday with essentially 5 defensive starters out. When you think about it, when they started the season, I think they thought it was going to be Bro and Lattimore. So 2 corners, Marcus Williams, your starting safety. So 3 of your 4 defensive backs weren't in the game. No Alex Anzalone, no Alex Okafor. So basically 5 starters, and they just rolled a very good Carolina Panthers team. Speaks volumes to how well this team is playing and the job that the coaching staff is doing. They've obviously not made any excuses along the way. They've had their share of injuries, but they led from start to finish yesterday, and I never felt like Carolina threatened them, really.
No, and even though Carolina came back after the first drive where Mark Ingram pops off the big run and they score, and Carolina kind of drives down the field, some shaky coverage, the Saints defense kind of gathered itself and was able to slow down, even though you could certainly point to some problems, say you'd like to see Cam Newton get a little more pass rush on him, because at times he stood there back there for a long time. But I think it just goes to show you that, look, even you get Ken Crawley back out there, and Saints fans, you have every right to say that there was no Devontae Harris out there. It certainly helped you because you had Sterling Moore out there. And look, the Saints,
everybody hates Devontae Harris.
Well, he's not very good.
Is he? He's gone, right? He's not,
yes,
yeah.
And they elevated Arthur Millette, the local product, Bonnable. Now he got an earful after a special teams play. But hey, that's way down the list of problems for the Saints. As look, you have to be, if you're a Saints fan, you have to be thrilled with this win. You have to be thrilled at kind of what's happening around you in the NFC. Yesterday, you saw Philadelphia go down in Seattle. You could make an argument either way. You could either be upset that Minnesota beat Atlanta, or you could be happy because Atlanta's now way behind you in the NFC South. You got to go to play them on Thursday night in Atlanta. But as of right now, Minnesota's the number 1 seed, because Philadelphia shows, guess what? They go on the road and play a pretty good team. They're susceptible to being beaten. It's like Ivan Drago. Like, Philadelphia actually bleeds. And, of course, as Rocky's standing in Philadelphia right now.
We kind of predicted that, and now they've got to stay on the West Coast and play at the Rams, so another game between 2 contenders. This whole thing's going to shake out, and I think that some of these contenders are backing up to the Saints. But I got to tell you, every week, and you picked it, I got to give you credit, you picked the Vikings to win that game. I keep discounting the Vikings, and they just keep winning. I mean, that was very impressive to go into Atlanta as well as their offense was playing and keep them out of the end zone. That's very impressive.
I think it's mostly amazing that Case Keenum is a legit NFL quarterback, and he might not have to have these monstrous numbers, but he had very good numbers yesterday, and it's no one. That's an amazing feat in and of itself. I mean, we're going to be talking Saints Panthers throughout the show, so don't worry. You know how our Monday shows go. We don't have any guests by design. We want to take your phone calls and get your reaction throughout the majority of the show, and if it takes over the whole show, it takes over the whole show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved, and we will roll through calls as they come in, hop around subjects, no problem. But you're talking about Saints with some injuries. Minnesota's on their who would think as their third quarterback, because Teddy Bridgewater, you would say, would be your starter. In a perfect world, he would be the starter because you wouldn't have ever had to go and get Sam Bradford, and you wouldn't be playing Case Keenum. But Case Keenum has done a tremendous job getting them, and it's something that the Saints, they're going to be chasing Minnesota now, because Atlanta was a test. They got through that test. I'm curious to see how they react going the rest of the way. Saints as well. I'm curious to see how they react going the rest of the way. 4 games left. They're not going to all be easy games. The Jets are going to be a tougher game maybe than you imagine. I bet you Tampa's in the tank. I bet you LSU Saints fans are going to be living between Tampa and Orlando, because they'll be playing Tampa New Year's Eve, and then they can go to Orlando and go to the Citrus Bowl and watch Notre Dame the next day. So I'm sure Saints/LSU fans will be all over the middle of Florida come New Year's Day.
Well, here's what I would say about yesterday, and I think we both agreed on this, even going into the game. This was a game that the Saints just match up well with Carolina. The biggest Saints weaknesses to this team are right now, that is exactly the area you can be deficit. You can have a deficit against the Panthers. Their passing game is not that good. It's very inconsistent. Cam Newton's very inconsistent. He had plenty of time yesterday to throw and either didn't find somebody or held the ball too long. One time he took a sack after like 6 seconds. That's the team that you want to play when your back end is all you're down the depth chart. But it's going to come home to roost against Atlanta. They've got to get Lattimore back, because Atlanta is the exact opposite. Their strength is their quarterback and the receivers and that high-powered attack, and they can expose the Saints. The Saints will not be able to get away with the things they were able to get away with yesterday against the Panthers.
And you saw the reporting leading up to the game, Marshawn Lattimore expected to play. They're going to work him out. This, that, the other. Look, we didn't put it on our website because it seemed sketchy at best. All this reporting from NFL Network
subterfuge
and ESPN, and maybe trying to people leaking information to the national reporters to try to get the Carolina Panthers in a tizzy. But we assumed Marshawn Lattimore wouldn't play. He didn't play. I think it's the smart move not to play him. We've been saying for weeks, Jeff, get him ready for Julio Jones. I suspect that's the plan. And you got to give major kudos to Ken Crawley. He played a great game. The one touchdown he gave up, I think it was just a great throw, a great athletic leaping catch, and Devin Funchess turned and ran to the end zone. But Ken Crawley made a number of great plays in coverage, and the biggest play potentially of the game, you could argue, is that 4th down stop. Tackles the receiver about a half-yard short, turnover on downs, and that really kind of put Carolina behind it, and it was going to be tough for them to come back from.
Yeah, if he's not tight in coverage on that's a first down. And he made another he was actually beaten on a long ball that Cam Newton underthrew, and he was very upset. It looked like there was a breakdown in coverage with the safety on that Von Bell. But all in all, he held up very well, and he was targeted. They came after him a lot going downfield. Box. I mean, when you ask those guys to play on an island the way they are, they're going to every once in a while get whistled for a penalty, because people are going to try and attack them downfield vertically. But that's not the Panthers' game. I mean, they don't have anybody that's really a deep threat. Devin Funchess is not a breakaway speed receiver at all. It was revitalized. It really carried the game. And what we've seen is these two running backs are the focus of this offense. This is a running back-oriented attack, whether it's in the passing game or the running game, and they've got two special ones right now in Kamara and Ingram.
And Alvin Kamara keeps eluding tackles. He keeps leaping in the stands after touchdowns. Look, I finally had a chance, probably the first time all season. I've kind of given way to either you or Josh or Herbie to write about Alvin Kamara, and I said, all right, finally, I'm going to take dibs finally. And write about Alvin Kamara, because he just has this innate ability to make people miss. And I don't want to discount Mark Ingram. And I feel like if I write about Kamara, it's like you're writing about the new kid on the block. But Mark Ingram is having one of the best seasons as a running back in the NFL. And whether it's he broke a bunch of tackles. He broke probably 4 or 5 tackles, just about as many as Alvin Kamara did. And the fact you've got both of those two in the backfield, versatile, it's hard to stop. And even with the Saints' offensive line banged up, look, Teron Armstead was active but did not play yesterday. It seemed like, I kept pointing to you, Jeff, in the press box, he was trying to get and convince the coaching staff to put him in. And now it wouldn't surprise me if he plays on Thursday. And I think Andres Pete had some problems, but they could shift him back at guard, and you can kind of have this thing back at full strength. But yeah, you cannot discount the way the offense runs, and they know it. And I'm going to literally grab the newspaper right here off of our set, and I want to read you this quote because to me it was the most telling quote of the game afterwards. When Ron Rivera was asked about Alvin Kamara, he said, quote, "We could prepare for whatever we want, but he's got some elite ability." And I wrote after that, that's a powerful admission from an NFL head coach when you can't stop him.
Yeah, and that's pretty clear because he was bouncing off would-be tacklers, eluding guys, and Carolina's a very good tackling team, and they didn't look like it yesterday.
No, they did not. And they were third in the league against the run going into that game, and obviously the Saints were able to run all over them. I'd credit my guy I've been pointing to all year, Larry Warford, was a road grader. You wrote about the one key play about where Max Unger gets the push and gets that key first down and extends the drive, and you get points off of that drive. So, look, lots to talk about. We'll dive more into this game. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? But we want to take your phone calls and your reactions. 504-260. We'll talk college football playoff as well. Alabama beats out Ohio State to get in.
Controversy.
Definitely some controversy there. But New Orleans reaps in the benefits because Alabama comes to play Clemson.
Huge.
In the Sugar Bowl. Massive game. Either one of the matchups would have been a massive game down here. Look, it's but yeah, when you've got power versus power, as far as vying for 4 or 5, you can make arguments on both sides. And I already alluded to LSU going to the Citrus Bowl, taking on Notre Dame. Look, the Pelicans play tonight. They're going to be playing without Anthony Davis. They're coming off of a big win in Portland, but they'll be taking on Golden State tonight. And
I think I've heard of Golden State.
They've won once or twice.
They're pretty good.
They've won once or twice against the Pelicans already this year. So we'll talk about that. And again, no guests this show. We want your reaction. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280. NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Clay Travis.
I'm a First Amendment absolutist.
Mornings 5 to 8.
I open up phone lines and let people just tee off on me and say I'm racist.
Yeah, this stat's
Why
crazy.
do I do that? Because one, I know I'm not racist.
Triplett
and
just
two,
put out
I
there.
think that allowing more voices
According to
is
Elias, Alvin
always
Kamara
better
is the
than
third
less.
rookie back in NFL history with 100 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown in 5 straight games, joining Eric Dickerson and Franco Harris.
Yeah. David Tennant from Dr. Who.
There he is.
Tickets for Friday, Saturday, or
What's
Sunday
some wrong?
at
Hacky
sportsam1280.com. Keyword deals.
Yes! The Johnsons
Oh,
don't have
Jeff,
that inflatable
power
musical
cord isn't plugged
snowman
in.
switched on tonight.
Yeah, I may or may
Well,
not.
how am I
have
supposed to know
accidentally
that?
on
Because it
purpose
was
cut
on
the
the
wire.
floor.
Hello, Jeff. My name's Jeff Dunc, and I'm so
Play
good.
holiday
And,
music.
How the hell am I supposed to? Why is it not plugged in? Who's messing with it?
Tens of millions of songs, one for every moment. Amazon Music Unlimited. For a limited time only, sign up today and receive 3 months for 99 cents.
You wanna, can you slack?
Amazon.com/music unlimited. Automatically renews. Cancel anytime.
Wendy's Double Stack is back in the 4 for $4.
Yeah, they got a stat right here.
Fresh, never frozen
4th
meat.
game this season,
Which
in which
means
they
you
both
can
gained
get
at least
the double
100 yards
stack,
from
the junior
scrimmage.
bacon cheeseburger,
Highest
or the
total by any
crispy
pair of
chicken
backs
BLT.
since Craig and Wendell
Along with 4
Tiger.
nuggets, small fries, and a
don't
small
know.
drink.
Remember Wendell
All for
Tiger.
just $4. And it's only around
What about my
for a
boy
limited time.
Jimmy
So
G?
you better hurry and
Leading
get to
the-
Wendy's
Leading
today.
the team to victory.
That's the deal so
He's gonna
good.
be good. Like,
293 yards.
No,
Once
I
they
said
start
beat,
getting things
not beat.
going,
I know they're going to be a
Not
good
Alabama.
Shanahan
franchise.
Fresh
Yeah,
beef and
Shanahan's
normal
good.
contiguous
well, they're
US
going to be
and
able to
Canada.
get a bunch of
Zika
pieces
is
this
still a
offseason.
threat.
They have a million draft picks.
Can be devastating. To prevent Zika,
And then I'm
use
sure
Well, they
they
traded a couple of them for him, I think.
and dump
but I'm sure
standing
they've
water.
got cap
Let's keep
space.
stopping Zika.
Yeah.
Visit cdc.gov/prevent Zika.
Then it's
This
like, oh,
message
they
from
actually
the
have a
Centers for
quarterback.
Disease
Like,
Control
people
and
will
Prevention.
actually want to go there.
Have you already got your ticket
There's
for
hope that
Tampa?
a new study led by researchers
Yes,
at
my
Brigham
flight.
Young University
Yeah.
could lead to an effective
I
treatment
gotta
for
get on that.
Alzheimer's disease. There is no
All right, so we got DJ in NOLA East. We have Josh in Sacramento. And we have a Kent on the North Shore.
who show no signs of dementia despite carrying a gene often found in Alzheimer's patients.
You got all that?
Got it,
Producing
bruh.
levels of
Bruh.
one particular
Yeah, Brad.
help Alzheimer's.
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, you right.
These
Kenya.
Johnson.
no medicine.
What's going on out in
Drugstore
Kenya?
chain CVS
Canada,
is
Brad.
closing in on
Canada, bruh.
to spend
What was
more
it?
than
Mike Yenny
Round
was
and
mayor,
circle,
and he
where life is hard, hard, hard.
yeah. When Mike
company.
Yenny was mayor, he would
CVS
always
would
get
have to
mad
pay
whenever
more
you
than
refer to Kenner
$200
as
a
Kenner
share
Brad.
for Aetna.
I do it on the air all the time. I can't not do it now, really.
Of course.
Health
Come on,
insurance
yeah.
industry.
And blame Flirty Girl.
Updates.
She put out a
Kester,
shirt with Kenna and a
NBC
brow on
News
it.
Radio.
Oh, really? Yes.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. Saints 31, Panthers 21. And as promised, we're going to get you guys involved. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved in the show. Let's start off with DJ in NOLA East. DJ, thanks for calling.
Hey, good
Duncan
morning,
Holder.
gentlemen.
Morning, DJ.
Morning.
I looked at the game yesterday, and I thought the one of the biggest plays in the game was the fumble, by Josh Hill, because I thought if the Saints went in, I thought it would have been over, for the Panthers. I just couldn't see him coming back, and I think they would have stopped running the ball and had to throw. And I just thought that was one of the big plays of the game.
Well, DJ, luckily it wasn't for the Saints, because if it was one of the big plays of the game, it probably would have meant it was a turning point and the Saints lost. So the fact that the Saints were able to overcome that, and Jeff, you and me have talked about this, that the Saints are going to need a tight end. Look, Kobe Fleener's on IR. They can't rely on either Josh Hill or Hooman as being some big-time effective weapon in the passing game. I know Garrett Griffin made his first appearance on the active game day roster. I think he's a first-year tight end because he's been on the team on the practice squad. But, yeah, I think that they're lacking a reliable piece at tight end. And it could have caught – look – for the Saints' sake, they beat the hell out of Buffalo, but he did it again in Buffalo, and he did it again against Carolina.
You want to stir the pot a little bit? Let me stir the pot real quick, DJ. You know who's a free agent after the season?
Is it one James Graham?
Jimmy Graham.
Oh, boy.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, he's not too old. I think they could definitely use him for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But look, last week, I don't know if it was your show or maybe it might have been one of the other shows. They were talking about a nickname, for Alvin Kamara. And I had told my wife when we first drafted this guy that they should nickname him Z28 Kamara. And I thought that would, I don't know what number he's wearing, but I thought Z28, the old muscle car. Kamara. I just thought that would have been just a cute nickname for the guy, but I just wanted to get your comments on that.
All right, DJ. Well, we did our best here at the Times-Picayune because I referred to his and leap into the stands, and then I'll just say his body seemingly oozes a substance poisonous to the touch of an oncoming defender. And our headline gurus at the Times-Picayune, massive headline in our sports section in our print edition, Captain Camerica. So that's our best attempt. Will it stick? I have no idea. But I thought on the fly on a Sunday night, I thought that was a good effort for us giving it a shot.
Everybody's trying to come up with a nickname for this kid, and it's hard because he's got such a unique name. I've heard, AK-41, the Special Man. There's
the whole Special Man.
Yeah.
Let him have it. The whole special Man.
He is special. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
But nothing seems to quite fit right now. You can't force these things. I do know that.
You could try. Maybe one will stick at some point. Every week I'm just going to come up with something new. I started even in my column, The Amazing Alvin Kamara, like The Amazing Spider-Man. It was something off of that take. I don't know. Dave, I'm going to put you in charge of that. I tried to do a comic book theme superhero nickname. That's what we tried. Dave, that's right up your alley, my friend. Come on. You got to help us out.
Damn right it is.
I know. Exactly. That's gonna be your mission. As I'm like 5 days away from losing all my hair. You got 5 days to come up with it.
You're gonna look like Lex Luthor, man.
Exactly. Scary.
That's gonna be your new nickname.
Lex Luthor. Oh, I'm evil. The evil kryptonite. So let's head up to Sacramento. Our good buddy Josh, listening to us on the iHeartRadio app. Josh, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, man?
Thanks, guys, for taking my call.
Sure.
Played a good game. I mean, I've got a nickname for both of them. I feel like we should have a nickname for both of them because both of them are doing a freaking amazing job. I would say probably I like the idea of the law firm of Alvin and Kamara. Hashtag we score for you. So I'm grown fond of that one. So.
Or is it Ingram and Kamara? You trying to do both of them?
Ingram Kamara, my bad.
Yes.
Ingram and Kamara.
We try to score for you.
I like that. But overall, like I said, I think like you guys kind of hinted, we need another offensive weapon because Michael Thomas. If you guard the deep route and double Michael Thomas, it's nothing really much to throw to that's reliable. Kobe Fleener's gone. He was somewhat reliable.
He was better than he was in years past. I could tell you that. He came up in some big spots at times.
He did, and now just with Josh Hill, it just seems like he has a problem with holding onto the ball. So, I mean, I like the idea of Jimmy Graham, but I just don't see that happening. Too much money, and he's not going to walk away from Seattle, and I don't think that relationship ended too well.
Too many hurt feelings, yes.
Tyler Eifert is a free agent. He's a decent player from the Bengals. He's certainly better than anything they have. But I think,
I would even look at, what's his name? He always gives us fits. Vernon Davis. He's just like, I don't know what it is. He just has the Saints number, and it's one of those things. You can't beat him. Just might as well join him. So I feel like that he would be a great fit with the speed and quickness that he has and the hands that he has. So I think that would be an amazing fit. Didn't really need to run block too much. So, but yeah, I think overall it's a good game. And then the last thing is I'm questioning the Saints. Who is in charge of putting player personnel out there? Because it shouldn't have taken you 3 games or 11 weeks into the season to figure out Devontae Harris is not going to be a fit, and you cut him and you put Sterling Moore in there, and you immediately have a huge difference on defense. Even at the tail end of the Rams game, they didn't do anything else after that. We kind of shut it down and clamped down on all the problems. So then you have Ken Crawley that was sitting on the bench and not playing, and it's just like, come on, like who's in charge? Like I feel like the players should be in charge because Kenny Vaccaro even said, I feel like Sterling Moore should be starting. So I'm not sure if they're not listening to the players in that sense and they think they know better, but at this point when it comes to the secondary specifically, I feel like we need to be listening to the players and what they have to say and who they feel comfortable in communicating with.
Hey, Josh, appreciate the phone call and the thoughts as always. Look, you can criticize, and yet, at least in my eyes, the fact that they fixed these things, they didn't keep leaning on Devontae Harris. They just flat out cut him and elevated Arthur Millette. At least they move on from him.
Right.
At least they were seeing that, and I think you're seeing that. Just look what they did on special teams yesterday. Who on planet Earth would have ever thought Taysom Hill, your third-string quarterback, is going to be playing special teams, making 2 special teams tackles, and nearly blocking punts? It was unreal.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel ought to be nervous. His roster spot might be in trouble. He better go out there and be more than a backup quarterback.
Well, Taysom Hill is the quarterback of the future, at least in Sean Payton's mind right now. He loves Taysom Hill. We've talked about it on the show before. He thinks he's a starting caliber player. Athletically, he's off the charts, and he loves him. And that was apparent yesterday in the post-game press conference when he talked about him, just how his physical attributes, how fast he is, how big he is. And they think they've got a real gem in Taysom Hill, and they're in a great situation because he can develop behind Drew Brees, assuming Brees comes back. They develop Hill, and I think they move on at some point from Chase Daniel.
504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head to the North Shore. Kent, appreciate you jumping on the show. What you got?
Yeah. How y'all doing today?
Good. Great.
I got a couple of things. One might be kind of a crazy idea, but just bear with me.
We love crazy. We love it.
Yeah, y'all are crazy. Yeah, I know that. So the first thing, yesterday, Stewart was running a play for Carolina, and Vaccaro, he got kind of piled up at the line, and Vaccaro's got a hold of his leg, and he starts twisting. And he's just like rolling around. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. It tickled me. I was just like a tickle me Elmo doll. I was giggling so much because he looked like he was twisting around like some kind of alligator death roll or something.
Anything to do to get him down. Anything.
Is that a popular technique? I've never seen that before.
Well, I think any technique to try to get a guy down to the ground. I know he left for after that play, kind of hobbled off, but I think all Kenny Vaccaro is doing is to try to take down this big guy because he's flying across the field. So hey, anything you could do outside that's legal. How about no face mask and no horse collar, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, no, I thought that was hilarious. That was special. I mean, they didn't know what to do with that, and. Okay, you guys are the experts, and this might be crazy or whatever, but what do you think about this? What if you send Breeze on the return team? I mean, they wouldn't know what to do with him. I mean,
yeah, they would. They would go give him a cheap shot, and you'd be without a quarterback.
Yeah, you've gone into crazy land.
That is crazy.
He's officially gone into insanity.
So if he gets hit, though, wouldn't that be like a roughing the passer or something?
No, he's not the passer. He's just a Joe Schmo tackler out there. So no, they would go attack him.
I
4 people.
There's something wrong with that plan, but that's why.
Yeah, you might want to go back to the drawing board, Kent. You might want to let Sean Payton stick to the special teams.
Did you remember how long it took Drew Brees to run for that touchdown in Buffalo? It was about 30 seconds, so I don't think he's going to be running down there and tackling anybody. But Kent, fun thought. Hey, Kent, appreciate the phone call. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? I know we got Mitchell and Metairie, Mario and Marrero. We will get to you guys when we come back from the break, and we'll take more of your phone calls. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And quite the stat our buddy Mike Triplett put on Twitter a few minutes ago about Alvin Kamara, saying, according to Elias Sports Bureau, Kamara is the 3rd running back in NFL history with 100 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown in 5 straight games, joining Eric Dickerson and Franco Harris.
I've heard of those two guys.
They're pretty okay.
Yeah,
right?
They were all right.
Yeah. Better than you and me.
They're pretty good.
You're on a roll with the pretty today.
Alvin Kamara.
Captain Kamara.
Okay, Captain Kamara. I'm working on it. The special man. I'm going with that.
Anybody, the special man. Let her have it. With no problems here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Need some help with Amiibo? Can't see. I'm blind.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
6-1.
This
What?
report
The
is
comeback tour.
2 wins 6-1.
warmer with
Come back
the
to
showers
it.
around on this Monday.
I believe we'll
Getting
have a
set up
which one
for
did I
the
lose? Show about
front,
this.
So be prepared as that front moves in during the day. Tuesday,
was close.
you'll see
Yeah,
even
that
more
was a double
widespread
word. Yeah.
rain. Temperatures falling from the 70s.
You look in that rearview mirror, you'll see me with my
40s as you head
light
into the day
flashing.
Wednesday. So we are looking for a big change in the forecast.
You might want to get out of the left lane, Clyde.
Well, we're
gonna
going to need to.
Urologist
We're going to need to do
Natasha
each bowl.
Download
Like,
the
we're gonna
McDonald's
we
app
gotta
and
make
get
it
a free
point
large soft
that
drink
we
with
need-
any
like,
purchase
we don't need
every
to do it
week.
like
And right
all
now,
in
get
advance.
any
You can do
size
it like
soft drink
that
or
day,
sweet
but
tea
we
for
need
just
to
$1
like
anytime at
bowl.
McDonald's.
I'm going to put that on you if you want
See
supremacy. You're going to have to.
MCDapp.com
make
for
it happen.
details. McDonald's. I'm
So you can do either
The Johnsons
all 40
don't have that
bowls or we can do
inflatable
10
musical
of the mini
snowman
bowls.
switched on tonight.
No, do them all, man. Do your homework.
Hey guys,
Yep.
who should I text the callers to?
I'm fine. I got them.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And they're still both on.
Millions of
Yeah. All right. Mitchell and Metairie and Mario and Marrero.
I mean,
Mario and
all
Marrero.
kinds of
Mario and Marrero.
alliteration.
Mario and Marrero. I can't say it 5 times fast.
limited, automatically renewed.
Oh, thank
Cancel
you.
anytime.
Thank you, Productive Clyde.
And the winner is
Coco remains the top movie of the U.S. and Canada, earning an additional $26 million in its second week in theaters. In second place, Justice League, which has sold $197 million worth of tickets in North America since its debut 17 days ago. In third place, Wonder. Fourth place, Thor Ragnarok.
I know you got your card out.
Oh,
wow.
Get it while I
The New York
could.
Post
McAdoo
reports that Annette
fired.
Roque, the wife of Matt Lauer,
Yeah,
has
they said he was
allegedly
gonna get
left their
fired.
New York home
Yeah,
with
but
their
it's
two
official.
youngest children and has returned to her native Netherlands. A source told Page Six
Giants
she
house
was
cleaning
last
is
seen at the
underway.
family's $33 million Hamptons home on Wednesday. Her supposed departure came as the fallout from Lauer's dramatic ousting from NBC continued. The cold open of Saturday Night Live saw Alec Baldwin reprise his role as President Trump, visited by some Christmas ghosts. Michael Flynn, the ghost of Witness Flipped. The ghost of Trump's past appeared in the form of Billy Bush. The ghost of Trump's present, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and his future, Hillary Clinton.
You have no idea how long I've wanted to say this. Lock him up!
Taylor Swift has released 2 duets in the last year, and she sang them both Friday night at the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball in L.A. Only one involved a partner. For a first-ever live performance of Endgame from her new Reputation album, she was able to stick to the recording by virtue of a guest appearance from longtime member of her own A-Team, Ed Sheeran.
All right, 10 seconds.
Jingle Ball will air on the CW network December 14th. That's entertainment. I'm Michael Bauer, NBC News Radio.
New Orleans sports talk about your favorite teams. Sports 1280.
Jeff's dancing around the studio like a super freak. Man.
When I was in my band, the Rapskins, in high school, this was one of the songs we sang.
When I was in my band called the Rapskins in high school.
Yes.
I am still scouring the internet for videos of that.
It's very rare. Very rare.
Rest. Until I find it.
Only Ken Burns, I think, could come up with that video.
I think you...
See, I didn't know that. I've got a lead now.
Jeff, I think you, Dave, and Morton Anderson should combine your...
We haven't had a take it to the top. We haven't had a take it to the top play in a while. And I think with the Saints on this run, 9-3, I think it merits a little take it to the top at some point during the program.
Well, what if they beat the Falcons and then they really took it to the top?
Well, there's no doubt.
Exactly.
We'll have a reprise.
Exactly. Oh, we can always have a
Thursday
reprise.
show.
Absolutely. Well, breaking news in the NFL world. Ben McAdoo has been fired. He's told this to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network and to several other media organizations. Gotta say, I'm not surprised at that, since we gave it enough airtime because we thought it was a joke, and the Giants obviously thought it was a joke, and Ben McAdoo, he gone.
Yes, you knew there was going to be fallout. Mainly how the decision was handled when John Mara started criticizing it. He's the owner. He's the guy that signs the paychecks. When he starts questioning how it was the process, you knew the writing was on the wall for Ben McAdoo.
No doubt about it. So let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's go to Mitchell in Metairie. And, oh, by the way, let's before I get to that, NFL Network is also reporting that the Giants have just fired GM Jerry Reese. So complete house clean.
Yes. Another non-shocker.
Yep, there you go. Well, hey, Mitchell, let's turn down your radio here for a second, and appreciate you jumping on the show. What you got, Mitchell?
Hey, guys, how you doing? I know we're talking Saints this morning, but I've been having a question I've been wanting to ask. Who would have went to Atlanta last weekend if LSU would have beaten Mississippi State?
Well, that's
They'd
good.
all been 7-1.
That's a good question. I don't know the tiebreaker, how that would have gone down. Because that's a multi-team tiebreaker. You're right.
And I just haven't heard that question asked or answered. Now I know we're talking Saints. I'm a big Saints fan, but all right. I was just wondering.
I'll get that answer for you.
I wanted to ask that question.
I'll get the answer for you before this program's over.
All right, man. Sounds good. And thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. I'm a big fan.
All right, Mitchell. Appreciate it, my friend, in Metairie. Let's hit Marrero. I've been thinking that for the last 2 weeks, honestly, because of the injury he had. It looks like it was an ankle, and so it didn't stun me, despite the reporting that was going on yesterday that Marshawn Lattimore was expected to play, or they thought he would give it a go. I thought that would be foolish. Get him ready for Julio.
Yeah, I thought that they had Thursday staring at him right in the face, and they said, you know what? Let me just, Cam being Cam. He's really not going to, beat you in the air, really. I mean, Ken Crawley being out there made a huge difference for this team, I believe, yesterday. Teron Armstead, I'm a little concerned about him as well. What do you guys think?
Look, I could tell you, and Mario, hey, appreciate the phone call. I could tell you that it looked like Teron was trying to get back in the game, because in the second half he's being laced up. He's getting basically his game cleats on. He's working with Josh Laribius, trying to do some footwork. He had his helmet. He was trying to convince his way to get into the game. And the Saints, kudos to them, even though Andres Pete was having some issues. We all know that Andres Pete is better at left guard than he is at left tackle.
Yes.
That's blatantly apparent. Mario Addison hopes Andres Pete could play tackle, because
every time he plays him,
he got 3 quarterback hits on Drew Brees, and I know got a sack. But I think that Armstead will be ready to go for Thursday. And you just hope, if you're a Saints fan, if you're Sean Payton, and if you're Drew Brees, he's had all of these nagging injuries, and it's not one thing, it's 2 things. It's seemingly, and it's all over his body now. It's something that you hope that Teron can get right, especially the closer the Saints get to the playoffs.
Yeah, can he hold up for 4 quarters? I think that's the big question. But he is definitely a guy you need against Atlanta, because they've got 2 excellent speed rushers off the edge, and Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley. Those are the kind of guys that give Andres Pete a lot of trouble because of his lateral movement limitations, and that is a strength of Teron Armstead. So they need Armstead ready for this game, and you're right, they need Lattimore ready because of the Julio Jones factor. This is a tough matchup if the Saints are as banged up as they are today.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a tough matchup regardless, just because it seems like lately maybe the Falcons have kind of had the Saints number, and Jeff, you've mentioned this many times on the show. If you were the Saints, you would have liked to have caught Atlanta earlier, because they were in that hangover phase. Now, they're coming off of a tough loss against Minnesota, but still, the Saints playing well, obviously talented. And I'm wondering, another big injury that was kind of under the radar to me. I wasn't paying attention to the Falcons injury report last week leading up to Minnesota, but Desmond Trufant was out with a concussion. Can you get cleared by Thursday? I would say there's certainly a possibility of no. I just don't know how severe the concussion is. But that's an injury the Saints are going to be watching, I know, going forward, because, look, if they're without their best corner, they'd be in pretty good shape, as far as on the Saints.
He's like concerned. A Pro Bowl caliber corner, and their other corner is very good, too, from the New Orleans area, Robert Alford. And, that's a good team, and they played Minnesota very well. They just didn't convert in the red zone and had to kick field goals, and they settled for field goals, whereas Minnesota scored touchdowns, and that was the difference in the game. That was a very even game against 2 very good teams. And after that loss, Atlanta is now going to be kind of in a, backs against the wall mode. They've got to win, or else the division's going to be the Saints for the taking.
Well, it's not just the division as far as the Falcons. It's a wild card spot. Well, Carolina's in a precarious position as well, because their loss, I think Seattle jumped. They're 8-4. I'm assuming Carolina's at the 6th spot, and Atlanta's on the outside looking in right now. So this is a pretty significant stretch of games throughout the NFC, not just with the Saints, but throughout the NFC.
Still alive is Green Bay at 6-6, and Aaron Rodgers might be coming back. That's a team you don't want to play.
No.
You don't want to play the Packers with Aaron Rodgers.
No. Now that they're, 6-6, and Aaron Rodgers might be back for Week 15, so that would give 3 games. If they could survive another game, and as we've been talking about, all these teams kind of playing each other, can Green Bay sneak back in? I think that's what Aaron Rodgers is hoping for, to give themselves a shot, and then you get in the playoffs and you never know what happens.
Again, it goes back to what we spoke about earlier. The 3rd place schedule from a year ago, the more you look at it, look who came in 3rd in the NFC. It was Washington, Minnesota, New Orleans, and the LA Rams. All 3 of them are among the top teams now in the NFC. 3 of the 4.
And Philly was 4th.
Right, and Philly was 4th. So it just goes to show you can't pay attention to the beginning of the season and say, this is a tough schedule. The NFL, it's year to year. Everything changes.
No doubt about it. So why don't we take a break right here on the show? We'll talk more Saints, Panthers. We'll also look at the landscape of the NFC, what's coming up this weekend. And look, game week's already started for the Saints. I mean, that probably starts this afternoon. Well, certainly for the coaching staff, that's probably already underway, and the Saints will probably have to get into work tomorrow to get this thing going, because they go to Atlanta, take on the Falcons on Thursday night. And as usual, Monday shows after Saints games, no guests, wide open. We'll take your phone calls, your thoughts on the win and thoughts going forward. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. Wiggly man.
Chris Gordy.
Dance!
So I try to get
I don't know if it's scheme.
a table for New Year's Eve somewhere.
8 to 10.
He's got a lot of
I mean, it's going to be New Year's Eve. We'll be in
guys
Tampa.
that maybe aren't living up
Like
to
a steakhouse or something?
expectations that we had for them coming into
Not
the
be
season.
opposed.
On Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Selfless service is the guiding
I'm not going to say no.
National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster
Ringing
strikes. They
endorsement
are your
from
next
Sir
door
Lars.
neighbors
And then,
and your colleagues in schools,
at least we fly
offices,
back Monday
and
and we
factories.
don't have
To
a
be
show.
a Guard soldier,
I'll see if we can get like
to
Deuce
serve
and,
at all
that's right, they'll be
times
flying
for
back.
family, for community,
Oh, no, the
and
day
for
before,
country.
right?
To learn more, log on to
when's the game?
nationalguard.com or
Sunday, New
contact
Year's
an
Eve.
Army National Guard recruiter in your
game
area.
is Sunday,
Sponsored by the
and that's New
Louisiana
Year's.
Army
Okay.
National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
North Pole Radio on iHeartRadio.
Santa here. Join me as I play all of your Christmas favorites live from my North Pole.
So the game would be New Year's Eve after the game.
Search North
Right.
Pole Radio on the free iHeartRadio app and hit play for a perfect holiday season soundtrack.
All right, 1 minute.
Musical sleigh ride. It's going to be lit like Rudolph's nose. Ho, ho, ho.
North Pole Radio on iHeartRadio.com or on the free iHeartRadio app now.
Wendy's Double Stack is back in the 4 for $4 with a quarter pound of fresh, never frozen beef, which means you can get the Double Stack, the Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, or the Crispy Chicken BLT, along with 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink, all for just $4. And it's only around for a limited time, so you better hurry and get to Wendy's
Steve Watson
today.
just chimed in.
That's a deal so good, it can't be beat. No, I
Talking
said
about the
beat,
Redskins.
not beep.
Sorry, man. Not valid in
Why,
Alaska
is
and
it
Hawaii.
Redskins?
Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Canada.
The hustle and bustle of the holidays can wear you down. Be prepared with a thermometer.
10 seconds.
Exogen Temporal Scanner has a proven accuracy backed by more than 70 clinical studies and is available at major retailers in your area.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And Jeff, we were talking about going forward because now that Philadelphia's got a loss, Minnesota has jumped them, the Rams are still above the Saints. The Rams won. They beat the Cardinals and basically used defense to beat up on them. And now the Saints, they are in good shape in the NFC South. You just look at the schedule coming up as far as Week 14, and there are plenty of matchups, some that you would never have expected to be these big-time matchups. You've got Saints-Falcons Thursday night. You've got the Vikings at Carolina on Sunday. You've got, let's see here, the Eagles.
Let's see here.
You've got the Eagles at the Rams. The late games, afternoon games,
New Orleans
on Sunday, and then unexpectedly, you've got Seattle at Jacksonville. Both teams are 8-4, so that game's going to matter for both of them as far as playoff races, even though it's an inter-conference matchup outside of their own divisions and own conferences.
That's a really rare matchup. I don't think Seattle and Jacksonville play regularly at all.
No,
I don't
not
even
so much.
remember them being on the same field. Now you got Leonard Fournette going against that defense That's going to be an interesting game. I'm sure a heavily watched game.
Oh, I think absolutely. So let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Hey, Dave, who do we have here?
Frank.
Frank in New Orleans.
Frank in New Orleans. What's up, Frank? Thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
Hey, how you doing? Just a couple quick things. I don't know if someone mentioned his name, but y'all talking about nicknames, and maybe someone calls it in, but how about Alvin the Stallion? Because it rhymes. The Stallion.
It does rhyme.
Alvin the Stallion Camaro.
I kind of like it. I don't hate it.
He runs loose like one, and it rhymes with his name. So I just thought maybe that it just popped in my head.
If I think of it, the Stallion, I think someone, if he
you think
like
of me usually. You think of Jeff Duncan.
No, I think of the old Italian meatball, like they they called Rocky the Italian Stallion. No, they call him the Italian meatball.
Yeah,
Can't have
maybe
that.
I would take something off of it. But one other thing I wanted to comment, and this is not a criticism at all, and it's probably irrelevant now the way they're running, but Peyton's philosophy has always been running by a committee, which is fine. But when they, especially when they had Peterson, if you only putting one of the backs in, they obviously know what back's getting it. And I just thought every once in a while, if they throw in a play where they have Ingram and Kamara, that it would be hard for them to, in certain plays, to like, okay, which one's going to get it? And I think a little nuance like that, I don't know why they don't do that, because that would really give you another option and just tweaking you a little bit better. And they don't seem to ever do that.
Well, Frank, I could tell you they did it at least once yesterday.
They were on the field together yesterday. Usually,
I might have missed that one, but a little bit more. But I know, and maybe not just a straight up play, but maybe put in like a sort of like a jet play or something where one's motion one way and they crisscross, and then that would just really, really like say, we don't know who's getting what or where they're going.
Frank,
just
that's exactly what they did yesterday. they did a kind of a play action.
They're listening to you, Frank.
Yeah, they did a kind of a play action. Ingram, he went one way, and then Kamara went out the backfield the other way, and I think they threw him a pass.
I'm talking about maybe giving 5 or 6 of them and do 2 or 3 times in a game, not once every 8 games or something. As a regular.
Well, hey, Frank,
it depends on the situation in the game and what, But anyway, that was just my comment.
There you go, Frank. I appreciate the phone call.
Beaumont.
And Frank, look, the season's not over. Just because they haven't done that a lot doesn't mean you go up and that hasn't been on film. They could certainly do something like that. That's certainly not out of the question.
I tell you what, that suggestion's better than putting Drew Brees on the kickoff return team. You do have that going for you.
That was the crazy comment.
Kent.
Yep, crazy Kent. Let's head over to Beaumont and another Mitch. It's Mitch-tastic here on Dunc and Holder. What's up, Mitch?
Hey, guys. Enjoy the show.
Appreciate it.
As always. Hey, Warford in the middle, I mean, that right there, that pickup, I mean, he's a road grader. I mean, he's made all the difference in the world. Him and Unger in the middle of that line are just open, gaping holes for Ingram. I mean, that right there cannot be understated. Also, Rankins at DN, isn't he like the tactician of the line? Doesn't he kind of set up the other guys in movement and pre-snap sets and whatnot? Does he have the speed, the giddy up to get there, the quick twitch to be able to be effective at the end position? And also, man, Taysom Hill, my goodness. What does that say about our special teams if a third-string quarterback has never played special teams in his life, makes 2 tackles and almost gets 2 punts blocked?
Well, it says you're looking for answers anywhere you could. And hey, Mitch, appreciate the phone call. And if you're having to dig, and look, we've known that the same special teams have struggled, but I think they just saw a guy with major athletic ability, and now even Sean Payton saying, Taysom Hill, if you don't have good get off, he's going to beat you back to the punter. I think that's just something that give kudos to them for trying everything, and it seems like it's working out there.
Yeah,
T-bone downtown.
It's all about athletic ability on special teams, and he's a rare athlete, and he's on the active roster, so you're just getting something out of a guy. Otherwise, he'd be standing on the sideline holding a clipboard. It makes a lot of sense, but there's only so many guys that play quarterback that could actually be productive in that area. But again, they love this kid, and he's going to be a part of the Saints team for the foreseeable future.
2 minutes.
Absolutely. And as far as Sheldon Rankins at defensive end, they're only going to be playing him there in spots where they think it's a run situation. It is not optimal. I could tell you that as far as Alex Okafor's absence, that's something they're having to patchwork. It is not, because you could see they'll shift Rankins inside quickly, so it's not optimal. They're trying to figure that thing out. And look, I know Trey Hendrickson, he got banged up, but he came back in the game yesterday. But they're definitely patchwork without Okafor in the game.
Yeah, I don't think they expect Sheldon Rankins to beat anybody off the edge in a pass rush. They're playing him out there in running situations so he can anchor the edge.
No doubt about it. Let's take a quick phone call as we're going to be up against the top of the hour break. Why don't we go to T-Bone in downtown? T-Bone, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, T-Bone?
Hey, guys. Love your show. Listen every day. This Alvin Kamara nickname is so easy to me. It just makes perfect sense. It ought to be abracadabra. It goes with his name, and it's the kind of plays he pulls off. To me, it just makes perfect sense. I'll hang up and listen.
There you go, T-Bone. Well, he seems like he's a magician out there, and I used to joke with longtime buddy Gus Cattingill when we used to do radio a long time ago. We used to call Reggie Bush the magician who would make yards disappear because he'd run backwards. He'd always get, instead of running straight, he'd run to the sideline and use -3. And
Reggae Bush.
Yes, exactly. Kamara is a magician because he makes people miss and can be gone in a split second.
Yeah, and I think Kamara
30
is
seconds.
everything we thought Reggie Bush was going to be.
Right.
And more.
Exactly. So hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. We'll talk more Saints-Panthers, and we'll get into the college football playoff. LSU's also going bowling. Look, and the Pelicans hit the court tonight against the Warriors without Anthony Davis, but coming off of a win. So we'll talk about that. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Live and local, weekday mornings 8.
All right, got 6 minutes, so
Cool.
pee break.
Jeff, go run and
New
pee-pee.
Orleans Saints taking some time out
Yeah,
to jump
I'm
on
gonna
with
fill
us.
up
Cameron Jordan joins us now. Cam, what's going on, man?
Just happy to be alive. Happy to have another year to say I've started another camp.
Who is somebody that we really need to watch out for this season?
Somebody who hasn't been highlighted enough, and yet every time I an interior pass rush, I'm always talking about him. In my mind, he hasn't been highlighted enough. Sheldon Rankins is a complete pro in year 2. By year 1, he was doing everything it took me 3 years to do. As far as mental process. By the end of last year, I was more impressed with him as an interior rush, than some guys I've seen across the league. In terms of what he's done, in terms of what he knows.
Check out that thing I just tweeted out.
He came in and just jumped in a rotation, and that's what what makes him stand out in my mind.
The Chris Cordy Show, weekday mornings 8 to 10 on Sports 1280. New Orleans. WODT, WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
There's breaking news here on a Monday as the New York Giants have fired their head coach, Ben McAdoo, this after leading the team to the playoffs in 2016. The Giants are 2-10 this season, their worst start to a season since 1976. Coincidentally, that is the last time the Giants fired their head coach. Midway through their campaign, the ownership, in fact, cleaned house today, also firing general manager Jerry Reese. Tonight, it's Monday Night Football with the Steelers playing the Bengals in Cincinnati. A win will put Pittsburgh at 10-2, the same as the New England Patriots. Here's Ben Roethlisberger.
One of the benefits of the night game, you can watch your peers and watch other teams. So, of course, you're going to watch, and I like watching the best, so I'll watch Tom. But I have not seen one thing of film, one breakdown. Randy and I haven't talked about it one time because the Cincinnati Bengals are
in the crowd. You got
kickoff in the Queen City of Cincinnati is at 8:30. I'm Ralph Irvin.
We are TMZ. We're romantic.
J-Lo and A-Rod, he's already meeting the mom.
He's way less into the physical stuff than she is. She's holding on his arm and locking like this. He's just like this.
Touch me again, I break your wrist.
We bring the party.
Rihanna drinking a daiquiri.
Why do fruity drinks get hated on so bad?
You never have one, and then you do a power nap.
And then you call your sponsor and you're good to go.
Think you can find a better fling?
I want to play for the Lakers, but that's not going to happen either.
Truer words were never said. TMZ.
Now we're picking the people.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie, it's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year! Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
To continue to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer, and donors are important. But the person will not know. You get the feeling that you have a team behind you.
So St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Learn more at stjude.org.
There's hope that a new study led by researchers at Brigham Young University could lead to an effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease. There is no cure for it. It affects memory and mobility. The study uses information from the Utah Population Database to find seniors 80 and older who show no signs of dementia despite carrying a gene often found in Alzheimer's patients. The research shows reducing levels of one particular gene could help Alzheimer's from developing. The study is published in the journal Genome Medicine. Drugstore chain CVS is closing in on Aetna. It's apparently willing to spend more than $65 billion to buy the insurance company. CVS would have to pay more than $200 a share for Aetna, more than 30% of it in cash. If the deal goes through, it would reshape the pharmacy and health insurance industries. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Coming up in the business week ahead, we'll get numbers on the October trade deficit and November service sector activity on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's third quarter productivity and labor costs and ADP payrolls reading on the number of private jobs added in November. Thursday, October consumer credit, and Friday, it's the government's report on hiring and unemployment in November and the first consumer sentiment reading for December. More Americans are shopping online this year, and scammers are taking advantage.
Consumers are complaining on social media about getting duped by fake websites or overseas sellers.
Scammers will make a site that mimics a well-known brand and try to fool shoppers.
Make sure you're not on a fake site by checking the URL. There should be a lock symbol and an S after HTTP, so you know it's secure. If a seller asks you to pay with a gift card or wire transfer, that's a big red flag. Use a credit card for the most protection. And never click on links sent through unsolicited messages on social media, email, or text.
You may get a sale or two, but you're more likely to miss out on getting ripped off.
NBC's Catherine McLaughlin with Catherine Hudd.
All right, 1 minute, guys.
Potential car buyers could be putting the brakes on new vehicle sales next year. The National Automobile Dealers Association is predicting sales of new vehicles in the U.S. will decline in 2018. It's blaming high prices and competition from nearly new and off-lease vehicles. But automakers are hoping the cars they're showing off at the LA Auto Show this week will change the equation.
LA Auto Show shines with luxury models loaded with new technology, like BMW's concept car, the iVision Dynamics.
It is a taste of the future, but a lot of the technology in the car will be a reality, not like in the future in years. It's worked on as we speak.
For Audi, the A8 is an established model updated with features that allow the car to do more of the driving.
NBC's Phil LeBeau reporting from Los Angeles. Consumer and Business News. Joe McConnell, Radio.
Yeah, see you tonight. Yep. Dunc and Holder, hour number 2. I always get a kick out of this. So, sort of Saints related. Of course, the Giants, if you're just catching the show and haven't been paying attention to the news over the last, say, 30 minutes, Giants have fired Ben McAdoo. They fired Jerry Reese, their GM, over basically a bad season and a terrible choice of getting rid of Eli Manning the way they did it. And Steve Spagnuolo is the Giants' interim head coach. I immediately get a tweet from our good buddy Scott Shanley with just the emoji of an eye roll. So I'm sure things are going swimmingly for the Giants right now.
You knew he would weigh in on that, on that decision. Well, you know, the sad thing about it, and look, I know it's an arbitrary record, but Eli Manning's Ironman mark at quarterback has now been broken, that streak of starts, because of an ill-advised decision, ill-fated, misguided decision by two bumbleheads.
Two bumbleheads.
I don't know. I mean, just both those guys needed to be fired. The Giants, as we've talked about before, are a model franchise, and they have acted anything like it the last few years. And I think they all were riding Eli's greatness as a quarterback and also Tom Coughlin's coaching. But Jerry Reese has been exposed. I mean, their drafts have not been very good, and it's all catching up to them right now. I mean, they're in last in the NFC East, and everybody else is passing them up in that division, and they've got tremendous resources and a great heritage, and that's going to be a big-time job. Somebody's going to want that job, depending on who the general manager is. I mean, that's a big opening.
It's a complete reconstruction, well, deconstruction and then reconstruction, because you obviously can see that Eli Manning's going to be gone, but you also have to get your GM and your head coach. So you're looking for GM, head coach, quarterback. That's going to be quite a tall feat to get done in New York. Now, obviously, New York is still going to be attractive to get
stay there.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the people that caused him to lose his job and everything are gone. I think
not the owners. They wanted to move on from Eli at some point.
I think
not the way that it happened, but I think they agree that Eli's time is probably up. I mean, I
don't know about that.
John Mara and Tisch, you don't think so?
No, I think they wanted to look at some of these other guys, but that doesn't necessarily mean they think his career is over. I think whoever comes in,
his career in New York might be over. I don't think his career is over.
I think whoever comes in might keep Eli around. I mean, the guy's won 2 Super Bowls. We'll see. And look, I would not be shocked if Dennis Allen starts getting a look as a head coach somewhere. I don't know if that's the right fit in New York, but I think he's going to get some feelers, and I think Jeff Ireland is going to get looked at. Even though I know he just signed an extension, he's going to get looked at for some GM jobs, and if somebody wants a good, obviously, personnel guy in their GM role, Jeff Ireland would be a good fit for anybody, I think.
Yeah, well, not too many troubles here in New Orleans right now. Saints 31, Panthers 21. Saints move to 9-3. They overcome a 1-game blip in their big-time winning streak. So they've won 8 of their last 9 games, and they've beaten the Carolina Panthers twice, swept the season series, huge as far as NFC South supremacy. The Atlanta Falcons lose yesterday to Minnesota, so now they are 7-5, so 2 games back, but they play each other twice in the next within the final month of the season. But Jeff, you just recapping kind of what we talked about in the first hour. I think the fact that you got the ground game going again against a good run defense, the fact that you kind of survived the patchwork offensive line again, and I do think, look, people, and we haven't really talked about this too much. People watched the Rams game, and some will react on social media. Of course, it's not the majority. It's the people, the vocal people on social media. But wondering if something's wrong with Drew Brees. Is he rattled? Is he maybe a little banged up because of some of the poor throws against the Rams defense? I would just say it was a good defensive performance by the Rams, and it rattled Brees. And I think Brees in this past game against Carolina, he wasn't a superstar, but he never has to be in this offense. And I think when Drew needed to make a big throw, he made a big throw. He hit Michael Thomas on a 3rd down on that first drive. I think it was 20-something yards. He hit Willie Snead on a 3rd down. And then the throw toward the end of the game in the 4th quarter where it was kind of a laser for about 30-something yards to Michael Thomas, to only where he could catch it. Drew Brees doesn't have to be Drew Brees all the time because they're not asking him to be, but when he's got to make a throw, he can make the throw.
I thought his touchdown pass to Mike Thomas was brilliant. It was within a zone, Carolina had dropped a bunch of defenders in coverage, and Drew, as he does, threw Michael Thomas open. He threw it to a window, and Mike Thomas adjusted in the air, and it was to the only spot that Carolina couldn't get to it. And it's just classic Drew Brees.
Uptown.
Yeah, no one needs to run off Drew Brees, and I'm tired of hearing about his arm strength. It's just such a silly thing. Arm strength means very little in the NFL. It's not the most important thing. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't have great arm strength. It's about anticipation and knowing where to go with the ball 95% of the time. Every once in a while, yeah, you got to have arm strength on certain throws, but that's such a little part of the job that is required to be a top elite NFL quarterback. So, and lots of times people see a ball that's underthrown and they think it's about his arm strength, and sometimes it could be he couldn't step into the throw, he didn't get the right grip on the ball. I mean, there's so many things that go into that. You can't just look at it on TV and say, oh, he doesn't have his arm strength anymore because the ball was underthrown.
Look, Cam Newton has a rocket arm, and he underthrew a deep ball, and Ken Crawley batted it away. So it just happens. Right, exactly. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. No guests, if you're just joining us at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. No guests on this show on a Monday. It's basically what we've done since week one. We've done it this way, whether it's a win or loss. We get your reaction, and then we get our reaction of the Saints game going on. And so let's head up to Uptown. Frank, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Frank?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Great, Frank. We're doing great. Morning.
Hey, I was sitting around this morning drinking my coffee, wondering who Alvin Kamara reminded me of, and I'm not saying that he's going to have the same career or be a Hall of Famer or anything, but he reminds me a little bit of Walter Payton. I'm giving my age away a little bit in that, you know, he can run over people, he can run around people, he can outrun people, and, you know, and as y'all remember, Payton was great at running the ball and also as a receiver, and just wanted to see what y'all thought of that. Thanks,
hey, Frank.
And enjoy the show.
Hey, Frank, yeah, appreciate the phone call. Sean Payton at least donned a Bears jersey when, I don't know if Walter Payton was on strike or what, but he was around the Bears. I don't know if Walter Payton was around the Bears at that time, but look, he certainly knows and is familiar with Walter Payton, given he grew up, you know, in Illinois and all that stuff. And like I said, but the comparison that Sean Payton actually kind of threw out there, was it in training camp, something like that, was Marshall Faulk. And I'm going back to a quote Sean Payton actually had last week. He was asked, you had compared Alvin's intelligence to Marshall this summer. Are there any other comparisons that you've seen in typical Payton fashion? I'll just read you his quote.
Yeah.
Stop. Marshall Faulk's a first ballot Hall of Famer. We're not doing that to a rookie running back. This kid has got really, really good football intelligence. He has good transitional speed, but even when I made the comparison back in training camp, it was prefaced with, hey, not making a comparison to Marshall. I'm just saying he's a guy that learns very quickly, and that's how Marshall was. I just don't want to see Marshall Faulk headlined with Alvin Kamara. That's all. And then, Jeff, after the game, I basically was trying to figure out a phrasing to have Sean Payton praise Alvin Kamara, because how many times can he do it? And basically, Sean Payton kind of scoffed at me. He's like, "Oh, we always have this one," basically like Captain Obvious question.
He did,
and I asked him if he's confident in every situation with Alvin Kamara, and he says, I forget what he said, but
yeah,
basically
snarky Sean.
Yeah, basically he's saying, "Yes, Larry, that's obvious," and so I just replied back, "Hey, Sean, I was just checking."
That's evident. I think that's
evident. I was like, I was just checking, man. Just saying if attitude stayed the same.
I would say this. I don't think I've seen a player that I can really compare Kamara to. I mean, there's a lot of people that have different traits that he's got, but he's a unique guy. I mean, the best comparison I would make is that he's more of a Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas hybrid. He's got the vision and kind of slipperiness of Pierre, but he's much more explosive and faster than Pierre was. So he's got some of the quick twitch kind of change of direction that Reggie had, but he's got much better vision. And what's striking about him, this is a very subtle thing if you watch, he's got great anticipation and knowing the timing and pace of the running game. He knows when the hole is going to open in the line, and he's got that ability to burst through it, and that's very difficult to do as a rookie. Reggie, it took him 2 or 3 years to learn how to run in the NFL. It takes a lot of backs time to learn the pace and timing of the running game at the NFL level. This kid's already got it. It's very rare.
You hear when you're asked, when you ask players in the locker room about Kamara's running style, and it's that he always has his feet on the ground. And I always have to throw in a disclaimer, say, well, except when he's leaping players. And, of course, the players, well, yeah, except when he's, like, jumping over guys and flying sky high. But the fact that he's not having these wasted juke movements, it seems just like he's always got his feet on the ground and it's fluid. He's not, like, trying to hop, and try to make a juke move. He never does that.
There's
feels the need to do that.
wasted motion with him. He's very efficient. And he doesn't look like he's running that fast, but he is. Like that long run against the Rams, it looked like the safety had the angle on him, but he just outran it, and he didn't look like he was flying. Reggie Bush looks a lot faster when you watch him, but this kid can really run, and he's got incredible leaping ability. I wrote about it earlier this year. He jumps up into the stands at Saints games. That's his little, touchdown celebration. Well, if you've been to the Superdome and been on the Superdome floor or on the turf, you know how high that is. I mean, that's way up there. This is higher than Lambeau. To get up there, you got to really have a vertical. And I think he told me he tested at the combine with a 39.5-inch vertical. So basically a 40-inch vertical jump. This kid's a great all-around athlete, and it's showing, but just the way he runs the ball. And, look, I know we haven't talked about this, actually. We were kidding about it last week, but Puka Williams, the kid at Hahnville, who had another great game, leading Hahnville to the Superdome for the Class 5A state championship. He runs like that a lot. He's got this incredible ability to cut without losing his speed, and Kamara has that as well. In other words, they put their foot in the ground, they make their change of direction, but they don't have to regather and accelerate out of that cut, which is what gets a lot of people tackled at the NFL level. This kid maintains his speed while cutting and changing direction. That's very hard to do.
Interesting quote from Sean Payton about Alvin Kamara, talking about him in today's conference call with reporters that happened within our show. He said, and I'm getting this from Mike Triplett, I'm sure our reporters are on there now as well, but Triplett's got it. He was just in my face, so I'll credit him, saying, if we had known we were going to get as a runner, if we would have known what we were going to get as a runner, we wouldn't have taken him in the third round. We would have taken him higher, taken him earlier. Might have been good for the Lattimore pick. Who knows, Peyton said. And he said he's genuinely excited, that he likes how Mark Ingram and Kamara are genuinely excited for each other. And you could tell, like, when they do those, even though it can kind of be one guy might take over the their little gathering afterwards, I do think that you could have some jealousy there. And it doesn't seem like Mark Ingram has any of that, because let's be honest, Mark Ingram is top 5 running back in the NFL right now. He is.
They are literally and figuratively sharing the spotlight, and I think that's smart.
No doubt about it. Taking your phone calls when we come back. 504-260-1280 is the number. Tony and Metairie, we will get to you next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Josh Innes, afternoons noon until 2.
LSU controls its own destiny and everything. Now, they ain't going to beat Alabama, so they're playing for second in the West.
Boy.
Which, I don't know, I mean,
I figured it would be.
Yeah, we could, if you play hard enough, you can be second place to Alabama.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Wizard World Comic Con, January 5th through 7th at the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center. Meet your favorite stars, including Marvel Comics Stan Lee, David Tennant from Doctor Who, and more. Get your half-off tickets for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at FoxSportsAM1280.com. Keyword deals.
Yes! The Johnsons don't have that inflatable musical snowman switched on tonight.
Yeah, All right, so we got Tony in Metairie and Larry in Baton Rouge.
Got it.
Baton Rouge.
You're my president.
Tens of millions of songs, one for every moment. Amazon Music Unlimited.
You got that?
Sign up today and receive 3 months for 99 cents at Amazon.com/Music Unlimited. Automatically renews. Cancel anytime.
And the winner is Luchadora Coco.
Coco remains the top movie of the U.S. and Canada, earning an additional $26 million in its second week in theaters. In second place, Justice League, which has sold $197 million worth of tickets in North America since its debut 17 days ago. In third place, Wonder. Fourth place, Thor Ragnarok. And in fifth place, Daddy's Home 2. The New York Post reports that Annette Roque, the wife of Matt Lauer, has allegedly left their New York home with their 2 youngest children and has returned to her native Netherlands. A source told Page Six she was last seen at the family's $33 million Hamptons home on Wednesday. Her supposed departure came as the fallout from Lauer's dramatic ousting from NBC continued. The cold open of Saturday Night Live saw Alec Baldwin reprise his role as President Trump, visited by some Christmas ghosts. Michael Flynn, the ghost of Witness Flipped. The ghost of Trump's past appeared in the form of Billy Bush. The ghost of Trump's present, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and his future, Hillary Clinton.
You have no idea how long I've wanted to say this. Lock him up!
Taylor Swift has released 2 duets in the last year, and she sang them both Friday night at the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball in L.A. Only one involved a partner. For a first-ever live performance of Endgame from her new...
All right, 15 seconds.
Able to stick to the recording by virtue of a guest appearance from longtime member of her own A-Team, Ed Sheeran. The 4.5-hour Jingle Ball will air on the CW network December 14th. That's entertainment. I'm Michael Bauer, NBC News Radio.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Saints 31, Panthers 21. Getting your reactions and your phone calls. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head out to Metairie, to Tony. Tony, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
Good morning. For those of us who are old enough to remember, I'm surprised no one has made a comparison to Dalton Hilliard with Kamara. I mean, Hilliard had all the same, the characteristics as far as running over people and slashing, making people miss, catching the ball out of the backfield. I'm going to hang up and listen, but I'm just curious to see what you think about that.
Hey, Tony, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, I could see the Dalton Hilliard comparison, and he kind of came in around the same time as Reuben Mays and took over for maybe a year or two, the spotlight. But, yeah, he was one of those guys where...
5'8", 204, not nearly as big, I think, as Kamara.
I don't even know how big Kamara is.
Kamara's like 5'11", 214.
Like, lost my mind.
He's stronger than you think. He's got a little more lead in the pants. He can take a hit lower and run over people. I mean, the goal line play was a prime example of that. You can't really hit him high. It's weird. He doesn't look that big. He looks kind of slight, but he's very wiry, strong, and he has a tremendous balance. We see that a lot on all of his runs. How many times you see defenders going after his ankles? He's able to kind of kick up and elude that and maintain his balance and keep going. That's a lot of times guys are going down.
And he could just slip a leg out from it through it. It's something that, and I even wrote in my column, you just talk to him and you almost just feel like for him it's just natural, and it's something that he just you could see in his head, just assume, why can't other players do this? I don't get it. He probably just feels like he can do that, and it's something. Really, I don't know if you can really teach. I mean, if you just have that ability, you just have that ability. I mean, it's not teaching of like where to hit a hole or where to do this. It's just kind of just an elusive wiggle, and it's something that, like I said, I don't know if you can teach that.
He's fast, but he's not breakaway speed fast. I mean, he's not blinding. I think he ran at the combine, he was clocked, let me see here, 4.53. Now that's fast, but it's not elite sprinter type speed.
It's not 4.2 Chris Johnson.
Yeah, it's not, off the charts. He's run as low as a 4.47, but he's also run a 4.6. So he's probably a 4.5 guy, which is certainly fast enough. Now he measured 5'10", 5'9 and a half basically, 214 at the combine. So he is closer, I guess, in height to Dalton Hilliard, but I think he's a little faster than Dalton was, if I remember correctly.
All right, a bit of breaking news here.
Whoa, what do you got?
It's not really breaking news.
What do you got?
Josh Katzenstein saying Mark Ingram's favorite nickname he's heard for him and Alvin Kamara? Boom and Zoom. That's his favorite nickname.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Boom and Zoom.
Oh.
I don't know. I kind of like the special man.
He's talking about the duo.
I don't know. I don't like these duo names. What about Thunder and Lightning?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. What about that?
Who's ever heard of that? That's so original.
It is.
Boom and zoom.
How about woo and wee? Let's do something like that.
Let's just agree to keep working on it.
Yes.
I mean, because this is not
forever a work in progress.
Ingram and Kamara law firm. I don't know about that one either.
No. Not Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, the law firm. Remember that?
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of we're like Hollywood right now, where we've run out of creativity. We need something completely original and New Orleans centric in the nickname.
Starsky and Hutch.
Oh my God, what is going on? Dave, help us.
Let's go to the phone lines. Maybe Larry in Baton Rouge can help us. Larry, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Larry?
Good morning, man.
Morning. We're a mess over here. Help us out.
A nickname? Oh man, the Saints are promoting this name, the Dunc game.
Yeah, that's for the defense. So, yeah, that's for the defense.
Yeah, that's
I don't even.
Defense, right?
Yeah, I don't even. I've been told what that means. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know. We should promote crime.
Right. It's basically criminals. Promoting like criminals doing. I'm not on board with that.
Okay.
What you got?
I really don't have a nickname. I can't say the Dome Patrol. I can't say that because that's defense.
Right.
It's hard.
That's all right.
With me next week, man.
That's all right. What else you got?
Well, look, man, I wanted to kind of give the defense credit because I know Ingram and Kamara did their thing yesterday, but I think the defense did pretty good, man. You know, and I actually will feel comfortable if Lattimore didn't play Thursday and just let him rest, because if we could get Atlanta on Thursday, it's like a mini bye week. So I think Lattimore would be more than ready for the Jets game. But I think the defense played pretty solid yesterday.
Hey, Larry.
That momentum swing, when Josh Hill fumbled the ball or whatever. So
yeah,
I just wanted to give the defense some credit.
There you go, Larry. Appreciate the phone call. And yeah, honestly, let's turn to defense because I think Larry's right. You look at what the Saints did to Carolina, 3 of 10 on third down. They stopped 0 for 2 on fourth down. So, look, the Saints held Carolina to only 112 rushing yards, and a big chunk of that, 32 of that, was from Cam Newton's big long run toward the end of the game. So you held down Jonathan Stewart. Christian McCaffrey, he had a touchdown, but I know he came in banged up, but he was really a non-factor. 6 carries for 16 yards, 5 receptions for 33 yards, and like I said, he had the 21-yard touchdown reception. But the Saints did a good job of limiting that, and I think
the run defense was solid.
Yeah, I think the run defense played well, and all things considering, you have to give the secondary some credit, even though there were some penalties and here and there and kept some drives alive, but they were able to slow them down, and we said it in the first hour, at least I know I did, you talked about it as well, but even just getting Ken Crawley back was certainly a big step for them and kind of solidified their secondary a good bit.
Yeah, Crawley he's going to give up some plays, he does every week, but he's going to make plays, and they don't have enough playmakers on that defense right now with Lattimore out. They need somebody like him. They haven't produced a ton of turnovers lately. I think they got one yesterday on special teams, but they're not getting the ball back the way they were earlier in the year, so they need guys like Crawley who are always around the ball. And I had a stat yesterday that I tweeted out that, because I've been thinking while watching the game, man, it seems like the Saints, for whatever reason, just have the Panthers' number. So the last 7 games, Larry, in the Superdome against the Panthers, the Saints have scored 31 yesterday, 41 last year, 38, 10, 31, 38, and 45. So they just, whatever reason, in the Superdome, I don't know if it's the Panthers are built to be more of an outdoor team with that physical defense, but they look like fish out of water on that fast track in the Dome, and the Saints just light up that defense. Drew Brees knows it very well, and he knows how to find the seams in that zone, and they have great success against them in New Orleans.
There's no doubt about that. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? When we get back, we'll still be taking your phone calls if you want to jump in. 504 260-1280 is the number to get involved. I know by the end of the show we got to at least switch gears for a minute. LSU's going bowling, taking on Notre Dame in the Citrus Bowl. College football playoffs are set. Big-time game coming here at the Sugar Bowl. Bama and Clemson, and Oklahoma and Georgia in the other semifinal, and that leaves Ohio State outside looking in. So, but if you want to keep talking Saints, jump in the show. You can get involved. 504-260-1280 here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Just one reason to rock the house. But in the daytime, the streets were clear. You couldn't find a good freak anywhere, cause
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
That's my favorite move.
This report is brought to you by
I missed it.
Warmer with even a few showers
I'm going to send this to you,
on
Dave.
this Monday.
All right.
You're going to love it.
Cold front, though, so be prepared as that front moves in during the day. Tuesday, you'll see even more widespread rain. Temperatures falling from the 70s into the 50s and even 40s as you head into the day Wednesday. So we are looking for a big change in the forecast. For Fox 8, your weather authority and Bounce TV, I'm meteorologist Nakandra Norwood.
'Tis the season.
2 minutes.
And that is, let the Exogen Temporal Scanner help your family get through the holidays in a healthy way. Accuracy backed by more than 70 clinical studies, the temporal scanner makes for a great stocking stuffer.
Worry less with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
So your son got home safe last night?
Got a million
Tom said he
windows
had a
up
flat
there.
tire.
Yeah, he was out past curfew and got stuck on Route 1.
That's actually
Liberty
that's
Mutual
pretty light for
took
you.
care of it for him.
Liberty did what?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
flat,
You got a million windows.
No
I've
problem,
got
no matter where or when with their roadside
6.
assistance.
That's a lot for you.
Too many. I got to get rid of something.
For a month.
Visit us online to get a quote. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands
I was
with
trying
you.
to find Dalton
Liberty
Hilliard's
Mutual
40
Insurance.
time. I can't
Optional
find him.
24-hour
Also
roadside
endeavoring
assistance
to
coverage.
break
Coverage
this
is underwritten by
tiebreaker, but I
Liberty Mutual
can't.
Insurance Company.
In the SEC.
Disabling disease affecting over 36 million Americans. The American Migraine Foundation helps people
I never even thought of it.
find the support and treatment they need. Make your move against migraine at AmericanMigraineFoundation.org.
The College Football Playoff Ranking Committee releasing their top 4. Second-ranked Oklahoma will face number 3 Georgia in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Top-ranked Clemson and number 4 Alabama square
Best
off in the
cumulative
Sugar Bowl.
conference
The winners
winning
meet for all the
percentage of
marbles
non-divisional
January 8th in
opponents.
Atlanta.
Oh, boy.
Officially the stretch run of the
So that
NFL
would be
season.
LSU
Sunday's
beat
Week
Florida.
13 saw the Eagles have
Best
their
cumulative
9-game win
conference
streak come to an
winning
end.
percentage of
The
non-divisional
24-10
Florida.
loss to the Seahawks in
LSU beat
prime time.
Florida.
The Saints take control of the NFC South by beating the Panthers 31-21 in a battle for first place. In the
And they played
AFC,
Tennessee.
the West has
Tennessee
a
went
two-way
0-8.
tie for
That
first
kills them.
between the Chiefs,
Yeah.
Raiders, and
So
Chargers.
Georgia,
The
it would
Patriots
probably
are
be
AFC
Auburn because
East
Auburn played
champions for
Georgia.
9th straight season, topping
Beat
the Bills
Georgia.
23-3
Yeah,
Buffalo.
so Auburn would go.
The Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski facing a fine and/or suspension after a cheap shot on Buffalo cornerback Tre'Davious White. Bills head coach Sean McDermott.
I just don't think there's any place in the game for that.
White ended up in the NFL's concussion protocol. Gronkowski apologized after the game. That's
coming back.
NBC News Radio.
Our All-Stars bring you the inside knowledge for your home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff, you broke the story last week how LSU would be heading to the Citrus Bowl, and you were right. Stunned, floored that you were able to get this
Am I
right.
ever wrong? I think I was wrong in '87 one time. Like in September of '87, I was wrong. I mean, we did find out at the time Michigan State was going to be their opponent, but what happened is once Wisconsin lost to Ohio State, it threw the Big Ten bowl picture kind of into a totally different spectrum, and you ended up with a Big Ten team in the Orange Bowl, and when that happens, then the Big Ten does not go to the Citrus Bowl. The Citrus gets either the ACC team or Notre Dame. That's why Notre Dame is going to the Citrus and not Michigan State, because the Orange Bowls gets first priority there, and they took a Big Ten team, which is very rare.
Honestly, for LSU to go play Notre Dame in a Citrus Bowl, and you might have some angst from LSU fans going to the Citrus Bowl for the second year in a row, but I do think the fact that you're going up against Notre Dame and people love to love Notre Dame or they love to hate Notre Dame. And I think that kind of marquee team that LSU is going to be going to go play down there, I think that does make that game an attractive game for LSU fans. And I still can't discount the fact that if you want to make a big-time weekend of it, you could, I promise you, go get some cheap Tampa Bay Buccaneers Saints tickets, because Tampa Bay fans will be giving those tickets away.
That stadium, Raymond James Stadium, is going to be all black and gold for New Year's Eve. They will take over that stadium. They've done it before. Tampa's in complete tank mode. It lost yesterday to Green Bay in overtime. They've lost, I think, 4 or 5. And New Orleans will take over South Florida and that area and then drive over. It's an hour drive to Orlando. I've done it many times. It's an easy trip. And what a great, you're right, a great marquee opponent. The Citrus Bowl, I think, is one of the more attractive non-New Year's Day bowl. Well, it is New Year's Day, but New Year's 6 bowls on the ledger.
And that goes into, of course, you had the jumbling of opponents for LSU, which leads up to the college football playoff. And I'm just gonna throw out Jeff's disclaimer right here. Jeff wants a 64-team playoff, 64-team playoff in the college football playoff.
Hyperbole holder here. Hyperbolic holder. Not above you to do that. No, 16 teams, let's do it. But get me Central Florida in there. Let's get all the Division I conference champions involved. You still have time, or still have room to put some Power 5 at-large teams. And you wouldn't have this mess with Ohio State and Alabama. Who knows who's better? Everybody's asking who's better. Nobody knows. Nobody. Even the coaches don't know. You have to play it on the field and earn it. This isn't a beauty contest. Trying to pick 2 different teams from 2 different conferences in different years. It's the same thing we go through trying to select the Hall of Fame every year, and you're picking, is this left guard better than this cornerback? I mean, there's no way to know. I mean, who's more deserving? And I think in this instance, the committee has an unwinnable task of trying to pick 2 teams that are so evenly matched on paper.
And that are powerhouse teams, and someone's going to be bent.
Right. And, somebody was going to get left out. And who knows? I mean, Ohio State and Alabama could easily be as good as the other 3 teams that were locked in. And it'd be nice to see them play each other. But, no, we've got to have this little 4-team thing. It's totally unsatisfactory.
Jeff, a lot of things for you. It seemed like you always get old crotchety.
Oh, here we go.
Crotchety Jeff, all bent. Just doesn't want to sit back and smell the roses.
I'm on my soapbox today.
There you go. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's go to Don. Don, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Don?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you all today?
We're good.
We're great, Don.
I have maybe a rather inane nickname for our running backs, but they have been tattooing the other team. So what about Ink? I-N-K.
I-N-K. So
Ingram, Kamara. Mashup.
Ink.
Yes.
The Ink brothers? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, better than the Ink sisters, I guess.
That goes without saying, yes. I kind of like it. It's creative, Don. It's creative. I like the creativity.
Hey,
it's unique.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I've enjoyed your show a lot.
All right, Don. Appreciate it. Ink.
That's not bad.
Just Ink.
How about Runners Inc.?
Runners Inc.
That's cheesy.
Oh boy.
I
remember there was a lame show that came on Fox. I think it was called Models Inc. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that. No, I do not.
I'm stunned you don't remember that.
Ink, I-N-K. I got to think. There's something there. There's a possibility there. There's a kernel of a great idea, and it needs to be expounded.
I've got it. Who dat Ink? Oh, God. I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. Jeff's face was incredulous.
Wow. Ink, I see where he's going with it. I would say Ink is the winner of the nominations we've had so far. If we're not going to go with Special Man on Kamara.
No. They've already got a Special Man. He's Frankie and Johnny at an old furniture store, smoking a cigar and a cowboy hat. No.
All right.
Come on.
I was kind of liking that.
And the next thing you're gonna say is we should name someone Rosenberg from 1825 Tulane. The old commercial. You're going to go back and do that? Maybe K&B. I don't know. You want to just bring up Schwegmans?
All right, I'm moving on here.
Ain't there no more?
I do want to weigh in because I said I would. Earlier, Mitchell called in about the SEC tiebreaker procedure. Finally, you and I have deduced.
You have. I've done nothing.
That Auburn, if LSU would have beaten Mississippi State and they would have ended up in a three-way tie with Alabama and Auburn would have won the tiebreaker by virtue of their victory against Georgia, who was a stronger non-divisional opponent than either of LSU's victories against Florida and Tennessee. LSU just unfortunately picked a year when their East Division opponents, Florida and Tennessee, normally are very good. Both of them had subpar years. So Auburn gets in because they beat a 7-1 Georgia team in the SEC.
Well, and of course, this is all hypothetical if there was a three-way tie.
Yeah, if there was a three-way tie.
So there was not a three-way tie.
But in other words, they weren't going to go to the SEC championship game anyway, even if they would have won that game.
No, they would not have. But, okay. You were talking about Alabama and Ohio State. Are you good with the top four that they have?
I'm okay with it. I would have been okay with Ohio State because I think they were that close. Again, it goes back to I wish they had more teams in, but they don't. And I love this matchup here. Rematch of the championship game from a year ago. Two huge traveling parties will be descending on New Orleans. And, boy, I tell you what, if I'm Clemson, the last team I would want to play is Alabama just because they've been given second life now. It looked like they weren't going to make it in, and that's always dangerous, I think, emotionally and mentally. Now you're kind of playing with house money if you're Alabama. We're in the picture here. We weren't even supposed to be in. And I think they're going to have a, no-lose mentality against Clemson because Clemson's favored.
I'm going to be selfish as far as I would have loved to have seen if Wisconsin would have won and Wisconsin came to New Orleans and what those booze hounds would have done to this town. It would have been they would have been come in 50, 60, I don't know, 80,000 people might have come in. Obviously, they wouldn't have all gotten in the dome, but they would have been down here to party, and it would have. If all you got to do is go look up a random search for, say, like drunkest cities in America. I saw a list maybe 2 weeks ago where you had like the top 20 and maybe 10 cities were in Wisconsin. So I think they would have just come down and they would have just fit right in and just partied and spent their money and had a hell of a time here, but that didn't happen.
We haven't had a chance to talk about it because it happened over the weekend in the Big Ten championship game. What about the turf debacle at Lucas Oil Stadium?
Turf guy.
That was unbelievable. I was at a restaurant. Everybody at the restaurant was watching this poor soul, one-man turf maintenance guy. They don't have more people than they have one guy at Lucas Oil Stadium. He's out there feverishly trying to fix this seam rip. That was unbelievable, and I felt so sorry for that guy.
What if he couldn't have gotten it done? It would have been all his fault.
All I could think of the whole time was what's going through his mind right now, other than, dear God, I know I'm going to be fired here, even though it's probably not his fault, or maybe it is his fault. I don't know whose fault it is, but that guy, man, his 15 minutes of fame, it was just, everybody was watching. All the players were standing there watching, the coaches.
Is he like the next
television.
Ken Bone?
Yes, very much like Ken Bone. And I think I tweeted this out, but I think it surpassed the Superdome blackout in the Super Bowl as the worst stadium facility blunder that I can remember. Because, that was crazy. That turf.
How long did the turf debacle go down in relation to the blackout?
This was like 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. You remember how long it took to get the power back on in the dome? In the biggest game in the world?
I still think it was a bigger debacle.
No way.
It was bigger.
No chance.
This is a seam in a turf room. That had nothing to... I think it was worse.
How? Half the lights went out and no one knew why.
I've seen lights go out at other stadiums. That's not that uncommon.
Not in the Super Bowl.
Well, I know, but it just so happened it was the Super Bowl. I'm just saying you're blaming the Superdome when a lot of stadium lights go out at places. I've never seen something like this. This was crazy. Like the guy's leg folded up under the turf. I was waiting for a bunch of cockroaches to come running out of it or something. It was like your carpet folded up in your house or something. An area rug went under. It was crazy. And then the guy was pouring endless amounts of rubber pellets in there. At some point, we had enough rubber pellets in there. Let's get the game going. He kept folding it in. Then some guy came out with a rake and was raking it. It was insane.
Here's what would have happened in New Orleans. They would have just put a cone up and just said, run around the cone.
I was arguing, just go to the other end of the field. Let's just run the way. Just get on one end of the field. It was ridiculous. Everybody was standing around.
Just put a cone up and just throw some seashells in there, some little oyster shells, and
we should have. That's what we should have done. We should have brought the pothole. The New Orleans pothole truck should have come out there and filled it. It does such a great, efficient job here in New Orleans. And we're going to see the mayor tonight. I'm going to bring up my pothole platform to him.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be the first time he and she, because we're where we're going, there's Mitch Landrew and LaToya Cantrell are going to be there. So
I'm going to let LaToya know that she was lucky I didn't run on the pothole platform, because I definitely would have taken her down.
I'm sure she was shaking in her pumps. There's no doubt.
My constituency was strong.
There's no doubt about that. Jeff, the election's over, dude. You got 4 years to figure this thing out.
I'm laying the groundwork for another campaign. 2000? What would we have? 21?
Something like that.
Yeah, 2021. Oh, medical update on Anthony Davis, by the way. He's been diagnosed with a left adductor strain. An MRI and further examination revealed no structural damage. He will miss tonight's game against the Warriors. Listed as day-to-day going forward.
Jeff, you could have teased that. We could have done it at the final segment of the show.
I don't want to tease it. I want to get it out there, but we don't get a beat on it.
We broke
the story to the world.
No, we didn't. We already have a post up on NOLA.com. We didn't break anything.
Oh, no, our listeners aren't on NOLA.com. They're all glued to our radios.
I would hope they'd be on NOLA.com.
Breaky.
Let's go take a break. One final segment here. If you want to get involved, quick phone call, want to get your thoughts on Saints-Panthers, you can do so as we talk probably for the first 90-plus minutes of that. So if you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. One more segment here on the show, so come on back. Duncan Holder.
Rip LaBeouf on YouTube says ink spots.
And an Orleans
sounds
Saints,
like
what can you say?
Jordy Holtzberg, 2 till 4.
There's something happening.
3-minute break.
Put my finger
Someone's
on it.
calling
All
out my
these
old
little
school,
things adding up.
wrestling
I've seen 7-9 teams for the last
fandom.
3 years. This is not
Say,
a 7-9
you could either
team.
pull off
Sports
What
1280.
about Axe and Smash, as in
Want to
Demolition
play and
Tag
control
Team,
all your music
or the
hands-free?
Mega
Well,
Powers
just
when
ask.
it was Hulk
Introducing
Hogan
the new
and
Sonos
Macho
One,
Man.
the smart speaker for music lovers. The Sonos
I don't like any of those either. How about something boys? Something like the Bayou Boys, or the Ink Boys, Ink Boys, or something.
Use your voice to turn up the volume while you're in the shower, or ask Alexa to play your top songs.
Runs RS.
You can even request a lullaby when you're tucking in the kids. Enjoy
so
hands-free
bad.
control of your
Why
favorite
are we
music
so
and more
bad?
with the new Sonos One with Amazon Alexa and iHeartRadio. Go to Sonos.com and order yours today.
Hello there, this is Nat King.
Harry Sanchez weighs in with Creole Combo. Harry, I'm sorry, Harry, that's not very good.
Is in the giving.
Here's another one, gumbo and hot sauce.
Come on, Luke. Creole Combo. I'm hating on that because it deserves hate. It's not very good.
1947, the
I
United
didn't realize
States
that
Marine Corps
the
has
show
been helping
morphed
Santa
into
fill
we're
his
giving
sleigh,
nicknames.
making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today, you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lungcancer to learn more.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas. The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
Apple is pushing deeper into the cheap tablet market. 9to5 Mac says the tech giant will release a new
I didn't realize I'm gonna have to bring like a notepad.
$260 price range.
Tonight.
This comes on the heels of
Apple
introducing a
$329
9.7-inch iPad in March. Technical
Crisp and
specifications of
cream.
the forthcoming device are known. Twitter Lite is now available in 24 new countries. The Apple
God.
Yeah, we'll
available
spend the
in
last
countries
segment doing
across
this.
Africa,
Whatever.
Asia, Europe, Middle East,
Right.
and Latin
I mean,
America.
we've beaten
It's
the
not that
game.
different from
Usually when we have
Facebook, like
sound, we would
minimizes
go,
data
but
usage
like
and
we've
makes
beaten
it
the
more
pain to
successful
death
in developing
already,
countries. Emirates is going virtual and graveless.
How about K&B?
with some of
Can we
its
make
new
Mark Ingram
high-end
change his name
amenities.
to-
The airline is now offering zero-gravity
I
seats
didn't
in its private
threw
suites.
K&B
It's
at
not
you.
actually like outer space,
You did?
but more
You said
like
that before?
leather recliners.
No, when I was
that
like
offer
making
a
fun of you
position that
about
produces pressure on a
Special
person's
Man, you know,
body
ain't there no
and
more
creates a
K&B
feeling of
Schwegmans.
weightlessness. There's also now virtual windows that display a real-time feed from a camera outside the airplane, so passengers can feel like they're sitting on one of the sides of the aircraft. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I didn't realize how much this show morphed into the nickname game, but I guess it did today. Maybe I started it with my column, Superhero. I call him the Amazing Alvin Kamara, then we call him Captain Kamarica in our big headline, and now we've gotten all kinds of suggestions for Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and hey, let's go through some of them. One of them from Who Dat Chris on Twitter. Call them gumbo and hot sauce. Jeff?
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down. You scoffed at that at the commercial break. You scoff at everything. How about from Luke Cooney, saying this according to me, that he's saying this in reference to me. Since I'm an old school wrestling fan, what about Axe and Smash as from the former WWF Tag Team Champions Demolition, or the Mega Powers, which was when Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage teamed up together for about a year, and then they became bitter enemies. So, Axe and Smash or the Mega Powers?
Neither one.
Jeff hates both.
Neither one.
Jeff hates
off the mark.
Jeff hates fun. What do you got on YouTube? We've got our YouTube listeners chiming in.
We got a bunch here. Crisp and Cream.
Oh boy.
Put a little zipper-faced emoji on that one. The Unstoppable Force. Deep South Duo, Creole Combo, and let's see, there's one more that I thought had some potential. Hammer and Slammer.
Sounds like a shot.
The Adventures of Ingram and Kamara, Ink Spots, Touchdown Ink.
Ink Spots, that sounds like something that happens when you got an accident in your underwear.
Z28 playing off the Camaro model. The old muscle car, that's not bad. And that's it from the YouTube crowd. There may be more. The electric slide was on point. That I don't think that's the nickname. But anyway, so
basically we've bombed out on the nickname.
There's just not a good one so far.
Something's just got to ring.
We're just the guys to do it.
No, we're not.
We're just the guys to come up with something.
We're just going to sit here for the rest of the season. I'm not even going to pay attention to what happens on the field. I'm just going to focus in on that. That's it. That's all I'm going to do.
Ink's got the potential. It needs to be massaged.
Not Ink Spots, like I said. That just sounds like some sort of accident.
There used to be a band, wasn't there? The Ink Spots, wasn't it like an old school, probably before your time?
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
never
they were a band, not a band. I think they were like a singing trio or something. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure
were they a cappella or something?
I think the Ink Spots were like a vocal group, I guess is the word you'd use for it.
I guess so, something like
that.
I'm
looking, everything's on Wikipedia. That's the answer to everything. The Ink Spots, there we go. American pop vocal group, gained international fame in the 30s and 40s. That's even shockingly before my time.
Shockingly, barely before your time.
I know that you're stunned at that.
I am. But look, let's look at the rest of the NFL schedule, what happened over this past Sunday.
That's the Ink Spots.
I knew it.
That's unbelievable.
They pulled that up in 2 seconds.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby.
Exactly. What the hell has happened to this show? The Patriots-Bills game, Tre'Davious White, let me tell you.
Was that him that got speared?
He should sue Gronk.
He got speared, right, by Gronk.
He was laying face first on the ground, and Gronk came in with a forearm, dove, and smashed his head in the turf, and Tre'Davious White got concussed. He should press charges. He should sue Gronk.
Well, if that happened on the street, he would be arrested for assault. I mean,
There's no doubt.
That was a really cheap shot. Now, he did admit afterwards he was out of line and fell on the sword and owned it, but nevertheless, he's still, I don't know what he was doing. He just lost it.
Well, Bill Belichick, even after the game in the post-game handshake, went up to Sean McDermott and basically called it a BS hit and that it was garbage that Gronk did that.
Yeah, it really was. But I tell you, the scary thing, Larry, the Patriots have got their defense figured out. Now, this is, I believe, they just tied an NFL record or something, holding opponents to less than 17 points in 6 or 7 games in a row. I forget the exact number, but they only allowed 3 yesterday. Earlier in the year, remember, they got lit up by the Chiefs in the opener. They gave up a lot of points to Carolina in a loss at home, but they've got it figured out now, and they're on a roll. And I tell you what, I think they are easily the team to beat in the AFC now.
You know who doesn't have it figured out are the Chiefs. Marcus Peters takes the flag, throws it in the stands, thinks he gets tossed. He leaves the field and then comes back without his socks on and just puts his shoes on. Didn't realize he wasn't actually tossed. That team, man, you could look around. They got some dumpster fires going on. Obviously the Giants, obviously not the Saints, but the Chiefs. They are in free fall. And now, look. You look at the AFC West.
Are the biggest threat. The Steelers and the Patriots. I'm sorry to interrupt.
But you look at the AFC West, and all of a sudden it's a 3-team race since the Chargers have stormed back, the Raiders have stormed back, and the Chiefs have imploded. So, but yeah, it's of course though we're looking at the NFC, and Jeff, we thought it was a tight race before this weekend. It's gotten even tighter after this weekend, and final 4 weeks. It's seemingly anybody's game as far as we were thinking Philadelphia was going to jump ahead. Now they've fallen back to earth. They play the Rams. Whoever wins that game could be in some prime real estate. But we know that the NFC, as far as conferences are concerned, the NFC is far more superior right now than the AFC.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Now, until somebody knocks off the Patriots, they're still going to be the Kings, but the competition in the NFC is much deeper right now. You got teams 8-4, even teams 6-6 like the Packers that are formidable, especially if they get Rodgers back. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I could easily see Philadelphia losing, and everybody's going to be sitting there at 10-3.
Could be. If the Saints win, beat Atlanta, they're 10-3. If the Rams beat the Eagles, they'll all be 10-3, and Minnesota. Who did I say they play? They play at Carolina. If Carolina somehow comes up with an upset, Minnesota's sitting there 10-3. Look, so this could be quite be 10. They'd be 10-4.
30.
There you go. So anyway,
I got to read this real quick. Nathan Long submitted the Ingrammable Hulk and Captain Kamarica. Stick to sports, Nathan.
Want to thank all of our callers. Great show, great conversation. We'll be back here tomorrow. And if you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube page. We'll be back tomorrow.
5 seconds.
Here on Dunc and Holder. All right, Jeff, say goodbye.
Goodbye, all.
Wow.
I know, that's all I had.
What's on the menu at your home tonight?
Goodbye, all. A man of many
Thanks,
words.
Dave.
Nothing like trying.
All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
After a long day.
Overly ambitious dinner.
Wow, that looks nothing like the picture. If you like eating dinner at 9:45 at night, then you should try.
God. And now, of course, the Giants are going to start Eli Manning.
That
I know, that's what I said. They're already announced.
Taco Bell's rolled chicken tacos are only here for a limited time. Shredded chicken, all rolled up with your choice of dip. At participating locations.
Statistics show that 80% of Americans will give up on their New Year's resolutions by February. But there's one thing Americans never give up: AM/FM radio. In fact, TV reaches 86